Hi, this is Jeff Mesnick. I'm here with the Cybersecurity Journal, and we just came back from Black Hat, which was an amazing experience for us. And I'm sitting here with,
My name is James Mathis. I'm a IT security engineer with a company called Istonish.
thank you for spending the time to be here with me today.
You bet.
So while we were at Black Hat, we were running all over the show. It was actually very interesting and actually very scary because all the hackers there, apparently you had to put your credit cards in these protective cases because they were stealing your credit card information
Mhm.
and they were trying to hack into your computer. I mean, it was crazy.
I think that's par for the course out there.
Yeah, apparently. So we actually had some really fun conversations with a number of folks. And what we were trying to really get at is over the past 6 months, what have we really learned, if anything, about what's been happening in the cybersecurity marketplace? And what lessons can we take and move forward with and even present to the C suite as a better understanding of how cyber and hacking can really affect your business? So I was wondering what your thoughts were.
Yeah, so I think that one of the easiest and most common ways to enter a network would be through social engineering. And, we've been seeing this over the past few months with the ransomware worm that was developed with WannaCry that affected about 250,000 systems worldwide. So the global ransomware campaign, as it was coined, and it showed us that social engineering was not only able to be used to infiltrate the network. We also learned that people aren't patching the vulnerabilities that were made light from the recent WikiLeaks leak talking about Eternal Blue and MS 017 or 17010. It proved that people aren't quite up to date with their patching, and the same thing came forward when Pecha came out, and they were able to use SMBV1 to infiltrate networks, and they were able to make quite a bit of money off that. Especially off of the original ransomware, WannaCry. It also showed us that the ransomware strains can be made a worm, which that goes back to 1988 with the Morris worm, how it began and how it was out of control and nobody could stop it. And they finally got a hold of it and got it under control. But I think the same thing happened here. It manifested as a worm and it got out of control, and they were people were able to sinkhole it and stop it. I think that really just proved how patching is so important, and having backups with good integrity are very important.
Yeah, it's funny. When we were there, we met with two guys who are ex-government, one ex-FBI and one was ex-Secret Service. And they
Mm-hmm.
both talked about the fact that that social engineering is actually one of the more powerful ways that people get into the system. And all these companies, not all these, but a lot of companies are also worried, their CIOs are just worried about, hackers going after them with just pure brute force trying to enter in through their firewalls and stuff like that. And while there's some of that going on, it seemed like the unanimous conversation out there was a lot about, your biggest risk is the social engineering and your uneducated employees about what they should be looking for. Do you
Yeah.
guys kind of look at that and do any education to help a company really kind of lock down not just their network, but their individuals who are in the network?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we do is we'll go into a company and we'll do some social engineering exercises and check on the physical security side of things.
Hmm.
Just to see how well companies respond to that sort of thing, with going in unauthorized personnel areas and seeing if people will
Right.
challenge us. It's also, we check and see what kind of user training they have. Because, as you said, I mean, an uneducated end user on an unpatched system can be one of the more dangerous things in an environment. And I think that, yes, brute force is a way to find attack vectors, but I think that you really have to look at social engineering. I mean, I think that's the biggest way to gain access to a network is to, in essence, have somebody open the door and hold it for you.
Right.
You know, sometimes that's metaphorical, and sometimes that's an actual literal statement.
Right. It's like when, if you remember back when we were in college, right, and you had your dorm room key, and you opened the door, and the police always told you, don't let that door stay open. Close it behind you. Even if you see someone coming, you got to close it behind you, especially if you don't know them. So it's the same
Absolutely.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've also been noticing is there was a article in the Wall Street Journal Cyber Journal, which talked about the amount of money that cyber insurance companies had to pay out over these latest hacks. And actually it
Hmm.
was like next to nothing. And part of the issue was that companies were not able to demonstrate that they actually went through the testing. So, if you went to the board and said, hey, show us your audit of your security systems, show us
Right.
the audit of your people, that wasn't there. That wasn't available for them to basically say, oh, you didn't, tell them, hey, you didn't really protect your system, so I'm not going to pay you out, right? So it becomes a real business issue right there.
Absolutely. I think that, it's important to have different types of audits, whether it just be your own internal audit. You have a paper trail that you actually did that audit. You have your DRBC plan, your
Right.
policy that's put together, and you're proving that, hey, we're doing all these backups. No one ever wants to be in the news for a hack. But if it was to happen, at least you would have some sort of documentation saying, yeah, we on a monthly basis or a 6-month basis, we check integrity of these backups, and we do go through our DRBC program, fail over, make sure that everything is consistent and working, and yeah, I mean all these backups are verified. So um, you know, hopefully that's enough proof for them if
Yep.
you were to go into something like that, but you got to be prepared for it. You never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I've sat on boards and I've sat on audit committees before, and there's a lot of training that we, when we're sitting on the audit committee, are trying to put the employees through, just in revenue recognition issues, in HR issues, no matter what it is, because we have to protect ourselves in varying levels.
Yeah.
And this really just falls right into it. So I imagine the reports that you guys are generating are outstanding for the board because then they have something that they can document and say, look, here's the executive summary of what was accomplished and how we're
Hmm.
actively protecting ourselves. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's nice for directors and executive level to look at that and see as we break it down, because we break it down with we start with the statistics analysis of the IT security assessment, and then we go into the identified vulnerabilities and wrap it up from there. But we have graphs and different type of metrics in that I think it's very clear when you look at what that assessment says from just the first few pages of kind of where you stand, and it will give you an idea of what maybe you need to work on. Whether it's border security, whether it's end user training. If you don't have an end user training program, that's something that I think is one of the more important things in an environment, is to set up some sort of training, whether it be a biannual or annual type of thing, and just get people involved and get people to sign off that they've done that training.
Right.
It's not enough for them to just, oh, I did that. No, we need that in writing that you actually did do that. And then you feel a little bit better at night, and it also carries over to their home systems as well. That end user training, maybe they go home and they open an email and it's an attachment that doesn't quite look right, but they went through training 2 months ago, and they're like, no, I don't think so. I mean, this doesn't look right. I'm not opening it.
Right.
So
Right.
that carries over and protects them at the home as well. So I think you get a couple of different things out of that. You get your environment is just that much more safe, and then you provide them with some education to make themselves safe at home as well.
Well, that's great. This has been excellent information. I really appreciate the time, and I think our listeners will love to hear more about this in the future. So thanks a lot for the time. This is Jeff Mesnick from the Cybersecurity Journal, and again, I'm here with.
James Mathis from Istonish.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Have a good one.
You too.